this is Vicky Crystalline and Mr. Edward, but we're going to just allow this just to come forward and talk as we've been talking because it just feels so powerful, and that it's for a lot of people because everything that we've been going through here, wow, it's just like I'm cleared. I love it.
Yeah, I've been connecting with the spiral a lot. It's just this kind of spiraling because it's almost like everyone's kind of creating their own vortex where they are because people aren't moving that much. And often those people were like moving around a lot, and now it's like it's all kind of been contained. It's like I don't know, and it's these little spirals everywhere, and people are learning how to use that energy now. It's like suddenly, wow, everyone kind of like was still for a little bit, so they could build their own energy and share it in different ways. Super powerful, and I feel like we're still just at the start of it.
I'm sitting here smiling, blown away because the spiral has been coming to me big time. And it's like it really, when my daughter said when at the grocery store that, we're doing a repeat, of everything that we let go. So you're spiraling all through what we've been through. And it was so funny as you said that, then a gentleman called that was a spiral from my past that hasn't been a year. Yeah. And I was like, looked at, I was like, wow. And that's the amazing thing is for me, is that it's showing up now. Because I'm so aware, the synchronicities are showing up now. I get this idea, I get this, and sometimes, it does have to stop me. Like it'll run through me, kind of even makes me feel dizzy, and it stops me, and then these ideas come through, and then it shows up physically. And that to me has been a very PowerPoint in my life right now because that's happening. But it's like the visualization happens, then the emotion happens, and then the event happens. And wow, I just recognize that right now because that's it really all plays out. Just like that.
I've seen a bit of that as well. It's strange, actually. One of the things I keep on visualizing, which is the spiral, but it's like I created this path, right, with like sticks, and then I covered the sticks with leaves, and then I covered the leaves with soil to create these kind of mounds. And apparently that used to be a really good way for growing fruit and veg in a lot of indigenous cultures and in permaculture, because it creates the right environment for the soil to like generate itself year on year, and it gives the air and the leaves and all the right ingredients. And I was like, well, that'd be so awesome if you could have these sort of raised, they almost become like raised mounds that you're growing out of. And if you could have a spiral of those raised mounds in a field, I was just like, that would be that's what I keep on envisioning. Like there's just these spirals or these circles of these mounds with food growing out of them. I was like, that would be such an awesome way to do it.
Kind of visualize that, Edward. It's like it growing out all the way down.
Yeah, and then you can have different things growing in different places. You can have like lettuces on top, maybe some beans however it's meant to grow. But then I was just thinking, when you were talking about your plants, I was like, well, maybe cannabis would be a cool thing to do that spiral with as well. Absolutely. Like almost just in a flat field or something, rather than just growing it just straight. You'd grow a lot less, but it would be kind of an interesting way to pick it as well. Then you just walk the spiral, a little bit like that the maze at the Shasta Peace Garden.
Oh my God, I'm going to so do it.
Yeah.
Where I had my herb, and it's so amazing because that's what I've been digging holes because I got to, kind of cultivate it. That's so amazing. I'm going to so do that.
Like a garden maze, but then you can harvest the stuff as you're walking the maze.
Absolutely. Oh my God, my heart feels so big right now. I'm so going to do that.
So I think that would be really cool. And there was something else on that. I just think you could do like that. Just also the crop circles were coming through to me, and I was like, maybe the crop circles are just great patterns to grow food in. I'm suddenly like obsessed with like, well, what if we, didn't just grow fields of stuff? What if we grew food in patterns? Because it makes it nice to walk around and harvest.
Yeah.
And if we're growing more like perennial products where, it's like, it's like trees and shrubs that come back year after year. It's much nicer for then when they're not producing like berries or whatever it is. You kind of know where they all are, because a spiral is a lot easier to map than a
Yeah.
field, and you kind of have the different layers. So that was, when you just mentioned visualization, that was one of the things that just seems to be really cool to me, like growing in different like sacred geometries. And then, you know, you could have potentially have like something in the middle, like right in the middle, you could have like a little, if this is a big field, you want to have like a destination,
Yeah.
because if you have somewhere people want to get to and you make the journey a little bit longer, but they're doing something valuable on the way, like it could just be checking that none of the plants need water, give them a nice walk. And that's what I realized about this path. It's like we wanted to build the fire pit in the middle and it goes to the compost. And I was like, well, if we build a really nice path to the compost through the woods, you kind of want to go and take the stuff out to the compost, or at least I will. So it kind of like creates that incentive.
Yes.
And it's the same for like how the indigenous work. I realized like their way of gardening, they don't plant anything really. A little bit now, but when they had more space, they pretty much just make paths.
Yes.
Like they let nature do all the work, and they just create the right access points, like quite gracefully. They don't need big tarmac roads, like walking tracks. So and they just carry on walking them to stop the jungle growing over it. And I realized that is their form of gardening. It's walking tracks. And every now and again, yeah, they'll harvest some cotton, or, you know, maybe even plant a field of something. But the most valuable form of their work is just in being in that environment, walking around.
Wow,
And it's like,
I have never thought of it that way.
neither had I. And it's like, but that's what they do. And I didn't realize it until I made a path, and until I walked a few of them. When, you know, the jungle grows quite a lot, you realize, wow, if people don't walk these paths, they go so quickly.
Yes.
So it's like just walking. If you can create a nice place to walk and make stuff accessible from that path, there's some really exciting garden kind of designs that are coming through. But the spiral is the one that was like, oh, even just a normal flat field now, you know,
Yeah.
like those fields that I probably drove past going to Shasta, you could just build a spiral, and it could be any plants. It could be a combination of plants. It could be, you know,
That's what I
lavender.
do. The last couple of years, I've done a combination of plants. Like with my hemp plants, I put mint with them.
Have you tried hemp and lavender? Does lavender grow?
No, but that's so funny because I was looking at lavender plant.
I think that would grow really well together.
No,
And
I think so too. And all I did was put it, and it came out in the bud. It came out in the taste of it.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
beautiful smell.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. So that's a great one. Wow, it's so perfect too because I'm about to plant. So I'm getting everything prepared. So yeah, that's so beautiful. Wow. Wow.
Just having a quick look. Companion growing hemp and lavender.
I love it. Wow, I just feel so clear.
Yeah, me too. That's kind of what it's done for me. Basil is another good one. Oh, these are companion plants for. I'll send this through to you that repel insects. Basil, lemon balm, dill, yarrow. Yarrow. I don't know if you come across yarrow. Yarrow is like they've used that in like medicine in this country for like herbalist medicine for years and years, especially for women.
I've never heard of it. That sounds beautiful.
Pretty interesting. Chamomile, coriander, lavender, peppermint, chervil, marigold, sunflowers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send this through to you. This was quite a good little article, and just good things that grow well with cannabis.
I'm so doing sunflower cannabis too. I don't know why.
Marigold.
Yeah, marigold too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this looks
Wow.
really good.
I want to get off here and go shopping.
So,
Plant shopping.
I think you're right. The herbs then they all grow together and they create the kind of ecosystem.
Yeah.
And then if you had that, like say the spiral with cannabis and herbs, you could, even if the cannabis you replaced one, it still kind of goes back into the home of the one before. So it's not like you have to recreate it again every year.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. And you could almost do it with those bags, probably. You know, it could just start out of the bags. You wouldn't necessarily have to grow it, you know, out of the bag.
Yeah.
It's just the bag sort of forms the foundations for a spiral, or a kind of pattern that you then grow the herbs around as well. and you just have a path to access.
Absolutely.
Like, even if you just had one of those big bags at four corners,
Yeah.
and it's
Well,
like,
yeah, no, it
I
feels
mean, how many you've got, you'll figure it out. But I feel like that's something quite nice just came through there.
yeah, no, it just sounds so perfect. I just am getting excited about that. And as you know, we have you, I don't know about you, but me, that like when you start tapping into this, it's happening,
Yeah,
and you start tapping into it, it's like there's an excitement because it
yeah,
drives you. There's a driving because it just feels so part of you. And so right now, as you're talking about everything, I'm visualizing it. I can
yeah,
see my garden. I can
yeah.
see how the
And
herbs are merging with the hemp. And it's so
it,
funny because they're showing me a part of even putting watermelon and cantaloupe,
interesting.
on the
On
foundation.
the ground, because that stops the
Yeah,
weed coming out.
yeah,
That's what I've seen a shift in as well. It's now I don't think about just one thing. I think about how they go together. And
yeah,
there's a famous thing, the three sisters, which is how a lot of the Native Americans used to grow corn,
yes,
beans, and pumpkins or squashes. The squashes, like the melons, cover the floor.
yeah,
The corn grows up, and then the beans have something to climb up, which
yeah.
is the corn. And I was like, that's so genius.
I'm
And
so doing that. I'm putting my beans too. I'm gonna
yeah.
put them up to stock of my sweet peas.
Mm. Oh
I,
yeah, we've got loads of sweet peas. Love sweet
yeah, I
peas.
gotta have sweet peas. I eat them right off the vine. I just love them so much. And so I'm gonna put them on. They're showing me buying them at the hemp. Wow, I'm just like
Yeah,
getting ideas right now. So that's gonna
that's
be
good. That's
beautiful.
good.
Yeah.
And what I'll do is I'll send you some pictures of the mounds that I made.
Uh-huh.
I didn't really intend to make the mounds. Like I was going to make a bed where I made the first fireplace, but then it just was like, no, you meant to build a fireplace here because there wasn't enough shade. And then when I was doing the path, it was like I was just putting the sticks, and it's like I wasn't really thinking, it's just like, as you said, I had so much energy, and it was just like sticks. And then suddenly I was like, oh, I'm making these mounds to grow stuff off. And then it just kind of evolved. It's such a fun way to grow when you don't even know what you're creating until it's kind of done. You just let your hands, you're just in that nice flow. So I completely agree. Mm.
It's so true. When I was creating this, my son was like, that doesn't look like a good
Okay.
idea at all. Because it did. It looked really odd and really weird when you're just seeing, you know what I mean?
Until you finished it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
until I finished it and pulled it apart. And then he was laying on the couch and he looks up and he goes, that looks amazing.
Yeah. Nice.
Because he goes, I really like that. And my
Yeah.
son, I can tell he really liked it. So yeah,
Nice.
I do too. So it just feels
Yeah, I like it
good.
as well.
Yeah. So um I love it because all of
I
it.
have a suggestion.
Yeah.
Have you thought about swapping who's on the left, the angel, with the one on the right?
I Mother Mary. It's just the way the position, but yeah, I'll flip it.
She doesn't fit on there. It's different surface. I can't see it from here, but it's
Yeah,
just kind of half in it. And I almost feel like she goes better with it because it's a neutral color.
like this.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, that is actually better. Yeah,
Oh, perfect.
yeah, yeah.
So better.
Definitely.
It's so funny too because you know what, the children, they gravitate towards both these statues,
Yeah,
and they always
that's so
go to.
much different. That's like now they kind of like hold the frame.
Wow, I feel that. Like
Yeah,
in the space.
and it says, what does the sign say? C.
Oh, it says, uh, the best teachers are the ones to show you where to look, but
But
don't
not
tell you what
C.
to see. Yeah,
Yeah, yes.
so true.
Love that. Love that.
I do too. So, but you know what's been coming forward
Mm,
is they've been showing me putting symbols of light language in it.
mm.
So I'm just going to allow that these symbols have been coming through so powerfully. So yeah, I'll let it be
Awesome.
whatever it needs to be. So wow. Edwin, can I bring forward the guides? They're right here.
Please, please, please.
Absolutely. So I'm not sure if we're going to cut this out or put it out or whatever, but if you guys are joining, we're going to do a breath right now and just connect. And so you could just breathe normally. Allow yourself to breathe normally and still in a slow pace. The beloved channel has stepped aside. And I am here in presence with many beings here in this room and in where you are. We have been listening to the conversation at this very time, at this very moment. And we are loving the ideas, the creativity, the tapping into. Many of you are aware of the stillness that's taking you to a potential that has been waiting for you. If you have been aware, it has been there for a while, waiting, now surfacing. As the world itself is calming, great things are taking place. And the emerging of the rebirth of new Gaia, new Earth. It's moving along so beautifully. You have created such a calmness in the energy that you are tapping into. That is because everyone is doing it. They are tapping into this.
It's amazing how like creativity just unlocks that space to then be calm after you've been in the action of the creativity.
It is like that, like a doorway has been opened. And it floods into you, and ideas spark within you. So many beings right now are having so many aha moments. That is very beneficial to this earth plane, because it makes them feel a certain way, which rises their own experience. There is nothing to fear here, ever. If you are in fear, you are choosing that. If you are seeing someone who is going through a fearness, be their light. Hold the space for them. And all you have to do is be. No word exchanged. No one needs to know. You have been preparing for this for eons, and you are doing it now. You know, because you can feel the calmness that you are. There is a stillness that your cells have been waiting for. In the stillness, many can spark and grow and come to life. We are asking, beloved Edward, do you have any questions?
Um, I guess I don't really have any questions apart from maybe if you have any advice on suggestions for me and other people, easy ways to tap into the calmness. Are there any like, um, if I'm going to share something with, oh, like this is my suggestion, it's really easy to, obviously there's the breathing, but other things that I may not have thought of to assist in tapping into that really balanced state that we're in now.
There are many ways to tap in instantly. Just even thinking about tapping in taps you in.
Yeah.
By washing your hand taps you in. By hugging a tree.
Mm.
By a hand placed upon the back of someone else.
Mm.
You can tap someone in where your sensories are able to do this now.
Mm.
Of just seeing somebody tapped in and they will tap in. It may not look like that in the beginning, but it happens. Go ahead.
I also realized, because I haven't been using tobacco for the last couple of weeks, and it's been really nice since I got back from Colombia. But it kind of shows you, not that it's good or bad, but it shows me really what the value I was getting out of it. Really good at grounding, really good for tapping into that sort of peace and balanced state. But it's also really good to be able to do that in as many ways as possible. That's kind of what it showed me, like being away from that, because then when you don't have something, you by necessity find other ways to tap in. And that's what I'm starting to learn now, is like the more you can expand your ways of tapping in, the more balanced you are, because the more likely in any one moment you'll just tap into that balance or source, or however you want to refer to it, the kind of, the field, I guess. So that was really valuable.
And this is very valuable information.
Mm.
This is why you all came here. This is all who are moving forward with the expansion of New Earth. You are learning to utilize and use your energy that you are.
Mm.
It moves you. You are creators and you are learning to understand how the energy of yourself, how your mind, how your thoughts, how your breath, even, and what you eat is moving you.
I've got a question now. I remembered where we were. When we had a call before this slowdown, we were going through like the different trees, and I really enjoyed that, like the history, the stories of the trees, where they came from. And I've been particularly in the woods with pine and beech. And I know you've talked about pine recently, and I remember in Colombia having a really interesting experience with these old pine trees there. And you mentioned the straightness, and they very different to the beech. But I was wondering, beech is also a beautiful tree, and there's some really old beech and pines, and I was wondering if you could share something on their origins, how they came to Earth.
We are tapping into the rootage now. Their color, their aura, their waves of energy. That's why they are placed where they are in the world. For there is a wave that is created from them. It never stops. It's continuous. And the wave creates a balance when in your system, everything around it balances itself. It cannot help itself.
It's interesting. The pine feels to me more like masculine, and the beech feels to me more like feminine, but very strong feminine, like an ancient kind of female.
Yes.
And then the apple, and then the other one is the apple tree. Those are the kind of three trees that have really been around me a lot in the last couple of days. And the apple is fascinating as well.
When you are tapping into the trees, do not recognize that you are pulling forward all of what feeds you, or balance of your female and masculine energy. Every female energy moves energy. Every male energy holds it steady. So energy is moved and you are tapping into this unaware. But
that's interesting.
The movement of these beings.
And then the apple, then, sorry to interrupt, is like the child. It's kind of the fruit. It's very much like the pine is, in this instance anyway, is in those woods. It's like the pine is the masculine, is holding the energy. The beech is sort of transforming it and moving it. And then the apple is sort of the fruit. It's a bit more of the kind of enigma, I guess. It's kind of a blend of both. It's been very much domesticated, the apple, like more than anything. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just the way its journey has gone. And it's really beautiful. It's one of, I think, the best examples of when humans really care for a plant in that close context of how it can end up. Probably not all apples, but there's so many wonderful, like, different types of apples, and I think that's really beautiful. And that's super interesting. They're all pretty close to each other.
Yes.
Pine, beech, and the apple.
Apples are one of the trees that can coexist with many plants around it. They have learned to adapt to much foliage around them.
So they're very easy going.
Yes. And so they bring in that balance into you when you consume them. Of the earth around itself, of knowledge, of history, we will say. Have you ever tasted an apple and instantly that crispness, that sweetness, or that tartness takes you back to a childhood state?
Yeah. And it's there because they had apple trees where I am now. And they're not all there, but we always used to go and pick them, and they were reddest apples that we could find ever. And since then, I kind of don't really eat apples in London because it's almost like they're so average. And I was like, well, I've probably lots of people like this. I was like, I know what a good apple tastes like now. And I'm not going to, it's such a good fruit. I'm not going to settle for an average one. I'd almost rather not have it. But it sometimes means I kind of just forget that they're there. And I love really good apple juice because I feel like that's sometimes easy to find, but it's strange. Yeah, I feel like maybe I've had the best apple that I'll ever have. I don't know. And I'm happy with it either way. It's like, it was so good. It's like, if that was the best one, you know, exactly what you're saying, those memories. I've had a few of them, and it's like, if those were the best apples I ever had, I'm kind of content with my apple career on this planet. If I have better ones, amazing. But I'm not chasing that. I'm not chasing the apple. Whereas there are other things where I'm more hungry to try them, like chocolate.
Yes.
I love chocolate, but I feel like I've had some good chocolate, but I'd love to grow some cacao and make my own chocolate.
Yes. This is where you're going. You're going into a state of growing more and more. This calmness is making souls, humans, aware of where their food is coming from.
Yes,
So
yes.
me and we say me, but we were talking about the Delivered Channel, is coming up with many ideas of how to grow this year. There will be many ideas, and you said it so perfectly, Edward, in the creation of how you do the placement.
Mm. And also, I think people are starting to realize what feeds into itself. So if I know where my food comes from, it tastes better. If I know where the money goes, I feel better.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of like it creates a positive spiral. Like there are two directions to it. Knowing where it came from is nice for you, but also knowing where, you know, what you're exchanging with is going, whether if that's money or if it's something else. It's like nice to, you know, even if we're trading apples and carrots, if I'm growing the apples and you're growing the carrots, it's nice to know the carrot's going to taste better because I know where it, you know, it kind of came from you, and the apple's going to taste better because it came from me, and I'm going to be happy about parting with the apple because I know who's going to be enjoying the apples, and you're going to be happy about parting with the carrots because you know who's going to be enjoying the carrots. And it's so simple, but so one of the things we are feeling into is at the end of this kind of lockdown period, just asking people what their favorite meals were, and then collectively looking at how those meals could be kinder. So if you made like apple pie and that was your favorite meal, it was like, well, can you make that meal a year later and connect with a person who supplied you the apples? Or can you pick the apples yourself? Or if you're making a carrot cake, can you grow the carrots yourself? And it's just like taking what we've always really enjoyed out of this period and just saying, how can we make it kinder plates? So I think that's kind of nice, simple idea, and if that can feed quite nicely into the seed saving as well, because you know if you want to grow carrots, it's good to grow seeds. But I'm increasingly seeing the seeds as like a symbol,
Yes.
and it's nice to save some of them, and it's nice to grow vegetables. But I think the future of this planet's growing is actually not going to be in planting. It's letting nature do the planting, and we just do the path building. Maybe a few seeds to get the, you know, the right test beds, let's say, kind of going. But then I'm kind of excited just to see what, you know, like that forest where I've been building the path in. If I had more knowledge, or may let's say I was more in tune with speaking to nature, I know that there's a lot more resources in there that could feed me that I haven't even tapped into yet. Like I saw like the elderberries, even saw something in this old book I had about you being able to eat daisies if you fry them. And it's like, well, that's kind of exciting to me. Like what we haven't really like looked at our immediate context. I know like people like you, Vicky, are way ahead of the curve on that. But even us, probably, there's so much more that we're just about to tap into. I feel like, oh, you can use this bark to make dyes, or at this time of year, this can make a good cough medicine, or this can be used to treat, I don't know, like cuts or something throughout the year. I'm so excited by all of that. It's like, it's just a question of matching people up with the knowledge or the wisdom to access the knowledge, and to be able to, as you say, not tell people what to see, but show them where they might see it. And yeah, I realized I would be sitting in those woods with a little fire and a nice bed to kind of go into after. That for me is like a recipe for heaven. Anywhere on the planet, you can be in have some nice woods and and simple lodgings, you know, and a fire, and that's like ultimate luxury. And you probably maybe couldn't do that for 7 billion people, but a lot of people could get a taste of that. There's so much when you walk through a woods, you're like, there's so much wood, like dead wood. It's like there's no shortage of fuel. Yeah, okay, if you're burning huge, great fires for factories or something, you might run out. But if you just want to have a little fire to sit around with your friends, there's no lack of wood on this planet. And if we plant a few more forests, or we not even plant the forests, we just let a few more forests emerge, I think there's so much space to kind of reconnect people with nature. And the woods are probably the best place to start with, I think, if they're so welcoming. You can go and sit in a desert, but I think that's a little bit of the advanced class. So yeah, I'm super excited.
As we have been listening to you, you have taken us all in perfect ways through to New Earth. You
Exactly.
are.
Well, that's exactly the point. I've noticed within myself, these kind of activities get you in that higher vibration, and then everything kind of opens up. So if we can share the ways to do that,
Yes.
And it's usually the simple things. It's like knitting, or building a path, or a fire pit, those are just the ones I kind of named out. Or sorting. I noticed this with doing the seeds, sorting seeds, something really simple, like just going through like 1,000 seeds. Those are the kind of activities that it's the ones that seem really boring, but that's great, because it means you don't have to think about doing them. You can then just be, and you're doing it, and then the nice things flow in, and you're like, oh, you get these little intuitions. It's yeah, I guess activities that create the space for intuition to kind of come in and be heard.
Yes.
That's what really interests me now. That's kind of what the path to a new earth feels like to me.
Yes. So through your whole day, bring for your attention that right there, your attention, no matter what you are doing. You can be doing the dishes and it can be a ritual. You can be cleaning your house and it can be a ritual.
So true.
Anything you do can be a ritual, and a ritual is part of you. You let go of the mind and you just do the task. And you said it so beautifully, for there is an example. You are learning to walk. And you explained it so beautiful. There was no need for us to interrupt you. You are bringing us through a journey that you are returning to. The ancient ones, the calling, this beloved channel has been called with the ancient ones recently.
It's like I see this huge like tribe, like almost like a people doing a marathon or something, but they're kids and some of those people within that sort of huge population of people are sort of guiding. They have a sense of what's around the corner. They don't know, but they have a sense. They have a feeling. They've kind of this is what we've been preparing for. We don't know exactly all the details of what it is, but there's some ideas floating around, and probably together we have not like a terrible picture of where we're going, and it's pretty exciting. And then there are other people within that sort of like mass herd, let's say, of like migrating animals who they just don't really know where they're just going with the crowd. And that's also so beautiful now. And I've really realized that it's such a gift for the people who know a little bit, because it makes them more sure of themselves. It makes them, when you have to answer questions or you have to share it with people, it helps you refine your vision, how you're seeing things. And yeah, it's so exciting. So I kind of feel we're in that stage now where we're sort of like, we're starting to turn the corner, but there's not like one corner, there's many corners, and each time there's a little bit of surprise. And it's like walking a beautiful hiking trail, and some people have done it before and some people have never done it before. But obviously even the people who have done it before, it's different every time because they're different things, but you have an idea of which turning to take. And yeah, walking the trail is a pretty good metaphor for where we are.
That is perfect. Because there are many potentials out there that you are tapping into. And the trail is the perfect way to explain that. The energy that you are bringing forward, Edward, is the energy of the highest potential right now at this very earth plane. Not to say that one is better than the other, for this is not accurate. But you can see the work that you have put into your own energetic system to balance yourself.
Mm.
And you are aware with another perception that is very helpful for people. People, as you bring forward, you can see the waves of different participating where they're at. There are different ways of extension. It does not make one right or wrong. You're just in a different way, participating differently, making their own choices, moving things along. And as you do the corners, what is before all of you, if you've seen what we've seen, you would have no fear.
Mm.
You would see how you walked away from this experience, all of you,
Mm.
and how soft it really was.
Mm. That's what I'm feeling, how soft it is. Yeah.
But you will also recognize how you think differently.
It was soft but powerful.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, you could take down like a huge tree in the forest and it could come crashing down. But if you were really, really strong and like a giant, you could take it down and just lay it on the earth really gently. And it feels like, to me, that's what's happening. It's like, rather than it coming crashing down this great big tree, call it like the legacy system or something, it's actually being quite gently laid on the forest floor as to not cause like lots of damage to everything around it. And obviously that's still a big activity, but in relative terms, it's been so gentle. Mm.
Yes. And the beloved channel is watching the people of the light capture what's happening inside of the world plane and laying it down just like you explained that so softly. If you recognized what you really did to this whole earth plane just by holding your light, how you add so much comfort to everything around you, beyond you, and within you.
Mm.
You bring such a stabilization to yourself, and then it radiates out and it softens the blow.
It's funny as well because there have been a couple of times in the last couple of weeks where it's almost like I'm seeing myself as like a pot boiling some water, and you don't want it to boil over, but you want it to get hot because you want to cook the food. And a couple of times I feel that not terribly, but I boiled over, and then I've seen, oh, that's where the energy is, and I could have just stopped it from boiling over if I'd just taken it off the stove for 5 minutes. I just sat down and meditated for 5 minutes and just let the energy pass through me, rather than feeling like I had to go into whatever it was that then tipped it to boiling point, which sounds really dramatic, but it's just more of like a way to illustrate the different energies that come up. That could be like anger, it could be fear, it could be even like too much excitement. sadness. I'm going for the kind of generally perceived negative ones, but it could also be like happiness. And you kind of, if you're feeling really happy, you want to sit in it. You don't just want to like run through it. You want to actually enjoy it passing through you. So yeah,
We are clapping our hands for everyone needs to see the value of this. When you are happy, don't run through it.
Yeah, and it's easy to it's because it's such a pattern where we've kind of conditioned ourselves into just getting through things. Everything has to be finished, but actually some things are just meant to be, you know, like it's like a really good meal or something. You kind of, well, if you finish it too quickly, which I'm definitely a culprit for eating too quickly. I'm always like, oh, it was so delicious, but where did it go? I just ate it already in like 2 seconds. Which also is kind of fun in a way, but yeah, I think to savor things is valuable, and that's what I feel a lot of people are. They're savoring some of these moments, or they're realizing how they can savor moments in their life more for themselves primarily, but also with extended family and stuff.
And you can experience those moments when you savor them. We will use this word. When you savor them and you just connect, even at this very moment, you can turn back to a happy moment. You can expand that happy moment by bringing it into your awareness now and feel the joy and laughter and the smile it brought upon your face. Even as we will bring back this example that Edward, it was so beautiful. There was no need for us to really channel. Edward is channeling today. This is so beautiful. As he was explaining the pot boiling over, this is a perfect example for all of us. We are all going through this. Yes, we say us because it's beloved channel. She too went to the boiling point and ran out the back door and started hugging the tree, telling the tree, take it from me, because I'm going to kill my son. And it's all right. She knew what to do to stabilize her energy.
You know, I think it was Aristotle who said it's the mark of an educated mind to entertain a thought without accepting it. And I think that's what we're coming into terms with. It's like if you just bottle up those thoughts and pretend they never existed, you kind of feed them in a sense. You like bury the seeds of them so that they may germinate another day. Whereas if you notice that that thought has come through your mind, oh, I want to kill my son or something like that, and then you are aware enough to let it go, it's so much better than pretending it never came.
Absolutely. And you're dealing with it right then instead of tapping it or putting it away and it festers. And most diseases are created this way. So that is your learning here in the school of life, to do things now, for that's all there is. There's no more putting away.
Yeah, it's the school of life, and I feel like that's what people are tapping into now as well. There's an awareness that you're always exactly where you're meant to be to learn what you're meant to learn.
Absolutely, and that's about the dark moments. It does lighten them up. It starts shifting the energy.
Exactly. Yeah.
And understand, yes, I was mad, and yes, I wanted to kill my son, but yes, it was a play.
Yeah. Because everything's eternal.
Yeah.
And I saw someone say, yeah, what's life cannot die and death cannot live. It's kind of like death is only ever an illusion and life is only ever all there really is. So it doesn't mean that we should shift stuff into it as next form of life quickly, because that's where I feel like the sovereignty of being comes in and free choice. But it's refreshing to know that everything does live forever and everything is eternal. That's alive. Yeah. So
and the greatest story of mankind right now. The whole universe's
Yeah.
are watching.
Yeah.
It takes warriors to walk upon this earth plane. Know that. Warriors. It's not an easy, we will say, trip, but it is entertaining.
It is entertaining.
It is.
Mm.
We have talked about a lot, and we are asking if there is no more questions, beloved. We will.
No, that was wonderful. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
the insight into the trees. That was very
Yeah.
valuable.
Know you are safe. Each and every one of you are very safe. You've got this. This beloved channel is like, yes, we hope you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. It's like we were really sitting on the couch. That's what
Yeah.
it felt like. I was sitting on the couch with them.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Very relaxed.
Yes.
Mm.
Thank you, Edward.
Thank you very much, Vicky. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. I'm going to end this recording right now. I feel that it should go out. I feel that there's much information for all of us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in a soft, gentle way. So I just love it. So thank you, everybody who joins us. Thank you for your life. We got this. Absolutely.